Gardening as a couple, does it strengthen a marriage? We'll look at that in a moment.
No, not there.
Sometimes a colorful yard
Really?
Not there.
is the product of creative tension.
These I really hate. It's been here for like 2 years. We keep throwing it out, and he keeps finding it and putting it back.
Sue Nigro and her husband David may not see eye to eye over the plastic palms, but they've worked hand in hand to create their unique garden.
Dave does all the metal work, and I kind of bring glitter and sparkle into the garden. I put a lot of chimes, and I put a lot of mirrors and different colored stones.
The Nigro home overlooks the Charles River at Hemlock Gorge in Needham.
This started as a hobby, basically, and I had grass, as you could probably tell, and I was just sick and tired of cutting the grass. Am I an artist, or am I a junk collector? Some people say, geez, this guy collects junk, and other guys might say, boy, what an artist, what a brainchild, you know? So who's to say what is what?
Nigro, a retired firefighter, uses material he's picked up at the Needham junkyard.
Everything has a theme or an idea behind it, like the spring. It's spring.
It took a while for this unusual garden to grow on his wife.
When he first started doing this, I was a little like, you know, I wasn't really happy about it. And then I kind of got into it, you know, and I could see the beauty of it. It's very unique, and it's an expression of the human spirit.
Right now on Chronicle in high definition.
Spring. Time to plant the Barbies.
Each year, just like a garden, it grows and grows and grows.
Time for a new wardrobe.
Every week, I try to change them.
And always time for shopping.
If Pee Wee Herman was to do a retail showroom, this would be what he would do.
These folks say it loud and proud on their lawns. Despite the neighbors,
I never won no popularity contest around here.
despite the risk of thieves,
If you want to see the rest of your flamingos, call this number.
they are compelled by the Holy Mother
She says, I would like for you to erect a shrine here on this property.
and compelled by Mother Nature.
And I was just sick and tired of cutting the grass.
Every one of them a roadside attraction. Next on Chronicle.
Good evening. Lush lawns perfectly trimmed, flower gardens radiating color. Sorry, not tonight. Instead, we are touring lawns and gardens that are, how shall we put this, out of the ordinary. They are the ultimate outsider artists.
I'm surprised that more people don't look at their property as an extension of themselves.
Their land a public launch pad
I think it would color the world, make it a prettier place.
for random, unexpected bursts of color, invention, and whimsy.
A lot of people shake their heads. They don't know what to think. They worry about me.
Part of the charm, these odd lots are often found where you least expect them. Down in the quaint village of Mattapoisett, a sure sign of spring popped out overnight on North Street. And no, we're not talking daffodils.
You're looking at my Barbie garden, and we've been doing it here for about 16 years, and each year, just like a garden, it grows and grows and grows.
Teresa Dahl says her collection stays out in all weather from May to October, and not a single polyester fiber on Barbie's head has ever come to harm.
No one has taken anything ever. One time, someone had taken a Barbie and Ken and put them in kind of a compromising position. But that's the worst thing that's ever happened to the Barbies.
With close to 200 Barbies, Kens, and other dolls, it comes as little surprise that Teresa has a co-conspirator.
My husband buys all the Barbies. He washes them every year and lays them all out and brushes their hair and sorts the shoes.
It's a collection of plastic fantastic that packs a fun punch. But Teresa Dahl says that for the discerning, there are deeper themes of empowerment behind the poses.
They're always being threatened by dinosaurs or dragons and snakes, and they continue to wave. They're never intimidated by anything. No matter who's intimidating you, no matter what sort of monster is over your shoulder, you just smile and wave, because that's what Barbies do.
It's likely Doll's Barbies have never encountered Herb Mackey's fearsome creatures.
I'm a collector. I never throw nothing away, a junk collector.
Known for its harbor and history, the city of Salem also boasts a very unusual bestiary down on Blaney Street.
I'm a contractor. Most of the stuff is generated from the contracting business. For example, this is a wrench, wheel lugs, and so forth. I don't throw nothing away.
Herb Mackey has spent the better part of his life around big equipment in the family construction business, and he feels ill at ease being referred to as an artist.
No way, no way. I've been in the construction business all my life, so I have some time in my hands.
Mackey's creations, left out in his yard on the honor system. Buyers are invited to drop money in the mail slot.
That's where all the dead presidents go. People come, they put money in it. I take out the money. Whatever. It's found money.
Don't let the gruff exterior fool you. Mackey's heart is on full view in his moving memorial to the Newtown School Massacre.
This made a grown man cry, this thing here.
Each horseshoe angel inscribed with the name of a victim.
I got all 20-odd of them. If people want them, they can take them. Or if they want to buy them, I'll sell them for 20 bucks. Or they can take it for nothing, I don't care.
Mackey says no one's made much of a fuss about his unusual yard.
I never won no popularity contests around here, but nobody's ever complained that I know of, not to me. It's just junk collection. I don't know how you say it.
And if you have ever taken the high-speed ferry from Boston to Salem, or vice versa for that matter, you've probably seen Mackey's Creations as places right there on the water in Salem. As for Teresa, the creator of the Barbie Garden in Mattapoisett, her last name, if you caught that, is in fact Doll, D-A-L-L. Sometimes names are in fact destiny. Beware, a bird napper is on the loose.
Now you see them, now you don't. Somebody's filching the flamingos. Next.
Now, pink flamingos are fairly common lawn ornaments, but Art O'Neill's flock are birds of a different feather. They look different. And not only that, how many flamingos do you know that have lived a life of danger? There are those for whom a plain green lawn is a big fat yawn. And besides, Art O'Neill likes the attention.
I get tremendous response. People come by, toot their horns, wave if I'm outside and all that. Leave notes. Leave flamingos, too.
His flamingos on Central Street in Mansfield are, after all, the best-dressed birds around.
They're going to be butterflies this week.
You never know what O'Neill's flock is going to be up to. Dancing around a maypole one week, playing golf the next.
Every week, I try to change them, especially in the spring, summer, and into the fall. Every week, it'll be something different.
But such public displays of invention are not without risk, as O'Neill learned last year when he awoke to find someone had flown the coop with his flamingos.
Yeah, I mean, I got bummed out when, 16 of them were gone, and all there was legs. That's all, just legs.
O'Neill reported the theft, even gave police a photo of the abduction. News of O'Neill's loss spread quickly through the lawn ornament underground.
People came by, gave me flamingos.
For months, the case was at a complete standstill. Then, a dramatic development.
After being swiped by thieves, a Mansfield man receives one of his beloved plastic pink flamingos back. It had a ransom note scrawled on it.
If you want to see the rest of your flamingos, call this number.
A series of high-level negotiations led to the return of 7 flamingos. O'Neill refuses to let his brush with mankind's darker side cast a shadow over his front lawn. The flamingos will forever stand.
That's the biggest thing of all, is people will smile. And that, to me, makes a day. Everybody should be happy.
If Pee Wee Herman was to do a retail showroom, this would be what he would do. This would be exactly how it would look.
Richard Richardson's Good Time Stove Company out on Route 9 in Goshen is a genuine, brake-slamming, eye-popping showstopper. After finishing the shop and building his house, Richardson turned his focus to his 8 acres of land. But his garden project turned into something else entirely with the sudden death of his eldest daughter, Tina Marie.
Right then and there, I knew that there was more of a purpose in my life than the hobby. And I was convinced that I had a calling and that this was my calling in my life.
Richardson's little garden began growing and growing.
When you're building rooms outdoors, there's no restrictions.
Now called the Three Sisters Sanctuary, Richardson invites the public to share in its whimsical, healing tranquility. There is a labyrinth, sculpture gardens, an amphitheater, contemplative spaces, and a massive dragon hearth. We'll come back to the sanctuary in a bit, but first, a note of gratitude.
And luckily for me, I live inside of my art. I mean, if I lived in the suburbs, they'd tar and feather me and run me out of town. End of the story. I mean, I would have never been able to build this because my neighbors would have been up in arms. They would have just said, what you consider art, we consider junk.
And the Three Sisters Sanctuary has been named to the state's official list of great places. A bona fide artist takes his talents outdoors.
I wanted to get the stained glass, the beauty of the stained glass, out into the landscape.
Gardening as a couple, does it strengthen a marriage? We'll look at that in a moment. But first, in suburbia, Jamie Turbane dares to be different. A visit to Needham reveals an orderly, well-manicured community. Mostly.
Well, if I took every weed out of my lawn, I wouldn't have a lawn.
It's hard to miss Jamie Turbane's house on Nahoyden Street. If the bright orange paint job doesn't grab you, the pink flamingos will.
Some people hate them, but I want to do what I want to do.
Turbane runs an antiques business out of his home. Each tiny colonial-era room an overstuffed cabinet of curiosities, a collection so vast it spills out of the house, onto the driveway, and into the barn.
I hate to see things thrown away, so that's why I have piles of stuff in the driveway at the moment.
Turbane is unapologetic about his pink-feathered friends out front. He thinks they are a far sight prettier than some of the gaudy new construction going up around him.
You know, things are happening around me that I don't like, but this is what I pay my taxes on, and it's my house.
No, not there.
Sometimes a colorful yard
Not there.
is the product of creative tension.
These I really hate. It's been here for like 2 years. We keep throwing it out, and he keeps finding it and putting it back.
Sue Nigro and her husband David may not see eye to eye over the plastic palms, but they've worked hand in hand to create their unique garden.
Dave does all the metal work, and I kind of bring glitter and sparkle into the garden. I put a lot of chimes, and I put a lot of mirrors and different colored stones.
The Nigro home overlooks the Charles River at Hemlock Gorge in Needham.
This started as a hobby, basically, and I had grass, as you could probably tell, and I was just sick and tired of cutting the grass. Am I an artist, or am I a junk collector? Some people say, geez, this guy collects junk, and other guys might say, boy, what an artist, what a brainchild, you know? So who's to say what is what?
Nigro, a retired firefighter, uses material he's picked up at the Needham junkyard.
Everything has a theme or an idea behind it, like the spring. It's spring.
It took a while for this unusual garden to grow on his wife.
When he first started doing this, I was a little like, I wasn't really happy about it. And then I kind of got into it, and I could see the beauty of it. It's very unique, and it's an expression of the human spirit.
A more refined expression of that spirit can be found out on a quiet country road in Weston.
I like to try and let the glass tell me what to do. I just like to use it like a painter, as a painter would.
Joseph Ferguson is a sculptor, and though many of his pieces can fit on a tabletop, others require a larger setting.
Nobody's ever complained that I know of anyway. And they could well have done that. Could have said, what's that guy doing with all that junk in his yard?
Ferguson's junk has found its way into some prestigious spots: the New York World's Fair, Harvard University, and the De Cordova Museum, to name a few. Always enamored of stained glass, Ferguson wondered what it would be like freed from its traditional architectural setting. The answer can be found in his new book, The Evolving Image, as well as out in his front yard.
I wanted to get the stained glass, the beauty of the stained glass, out into the landscape. So I concentrated on outdoor sculpture and ways to put the colored glass into the sculpture.
It makes for surprisingly dynamic sculpture as the colors change with the angle of the sun and the passing of the seasons.
I'm generally an optimistic. I don't like to do gloomy things or tragic or threatening things. There's enough of that problem already without me contributing to it.
And Ferguson has yet to build what he thinks will be his masterwork. He wants to build a stained glass pyramid, a place for prayer and meditation. Right now, though, looking for a client who wants one, if you're interested. A yard becomes a shrine by divine intervention.
One night he says, I have a vision.
Herb Mackey told us he creates his lawn zoo as a way to fill the time. Richard Richardson's garden grows because of a tragedy, and David Nigro simply grew tired of mowing his lawn. Now, a very unusual motivator, a vision from heaven. If one's home is one's castle, can the yard be the chapel?
One night he says, I have a vision.
Bernard Sheehy and his wife Alice helped maintain the Our Lady of Fatima Community Shrine in Pepperell, built by the late Noel Doobie in his front yard after receiving a vision from the Holy Mother.
She says, I would like for you to erect a shrine here on this property.
Doobie, a World War II veteran, was convinced the Virgin Mary saved his life on Omaha Beach during the D-Day invasion.
I can't swim a stroke. I'm sure I'd drown for sure.
So he built a 20-foot mural of Fatima, a 30-foot Jesus, topping it all off with a 3-story illuminated cross. Then Doobie invited the public to come worship with him.
We had to fight a little bit at the City Hall.
Some neighbors objected to both the size and the popularity of the shrine, which at its height drew thousands of worshipers a year. The town took Doobie to court in 2004, but he and his shrine prevailed.
It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And, I remember the first service I came here. It was impressive.
Noel Doobie died in 2010, and his wife Antoinette still lives in the house. Bernie Sheehy does what he can to maintain the property, but without the dynamic Mr. Doobie around, attendance has fallen off, and the Fatima Shrine is showing signs of fatigue.
I wonder who's going to take over the place and maintain it the way it is. It doesn't take too long if it's not kept up. It's a shame, because that was built with a lot of love and a lot of prayers too,
A lasting legacy is also on the mind of Richard Richardson at the Three Sisters Sanctuary.
My purpose is to build the sanctuary, share it, give it life, and then hopefully figure out how to preserve it.
Richardson built his garden, a riotous blend of nature, art, and spirit, as a lasting tribute to his late daughter.
Destiny was at work. Destiny was at work.
One feature that's not going anywhere, the 220 massive standing stones.
Stone is addictive, though. Anybody that's done any stonework will tell you that. You'll find one excuse after another to create another project with stone once you get started.
The stones may be huge, but Richardson feels they carry a lightness of spirit.
They were underground. They lived in darkness. They lived with dirt on top of them. What I discovered was when they stood up, there was great energy, and they were really happy to be up. I mean, they were really rejoicing in the energy that they gave. And the more of them that I stood up, the more of them that seemed to be dancing and frolicking in their new life.
Richardson is convinced there is more to life and lawns than endless mowing. His property, a sacred space to create meaning, a place to leave one's mark.
It will be what I leave behind. You know, 50 years from now, people will be walking through the sanctuary and going, wow, you know, who did this and what was that about? I'm really convinced of that. You know, like this is what I was meant to do in my life.
And Richardson invites the public to come and visit his sanctuary. It's also used for weddings, plays, concerts, and conferences as well. As for the Fatima Shrine in Pepperell, it prevailed in court because the state provides special protection for religious sites when it comes to zoning issues. And that is Chronicle for tonight. Thanks very much for joining us. I'm Anthony Everett. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
Next Chronicle, step into Downton Abbey without leaving New England. Elegance and opulence just around the corner.
It's a half-mile of lawn that goes down to the ocean.
And the incredible lives of the people who called these mansions home. Chronicle tomorrow.